child in the distance, playing in the rain, the sweet sound of water flowing away, a construction worker coming home from work, two parents and their children going to church, a happy little baby rolls on your shirt. What an extraordinary day. Let us have a world of ordinary people, living life the way God wants us to. And if we have a world of ordinary people, extraordinary things will happen to me and you. Just a man, but he'd kill his son for the price of a lamb. And let us consider ordinary Job, who lost it all, but in God had his hope. Now ordinary David, a little shepherd boy, brought down Goliath with a stone and a toy. Little Jesus, ordinary child, the carpenter's first son.
You are listening to Lagoon Radio.
Good morning and welcome to the Workplace Series show on Lagoon Radio. I am so happy that you are joining me on another episode on the Workplace Series show. I want to know how you're doing, really. You know, when I come to the show, I tell you, how are you doing? You know, even outside the workplace, they will ask you, how are you doing? And I've always said it many times that when you ask that question, a lot of people are thinking maybe you should respond your financial problems. But I want to know how you are doing because your health is my concern. The slogan of the Workplace Series show is happy people, healthy workplace. We hope that eventually, after all said and done, we can end with convenience. That's our logo. And I'm happy that you are joining me on another episode on the Workplace Series show. And if you have not called your CEO, your HR, your colleague, and of course, any other person that needs to listen to the Workplace Series show, you need to do that right now. My name is Lawrence Itoro, and today is the 11th day of August 2021. I'm happy it's a new month, and I know you're achieving all your goals. And of course, you know that when it's Wednesday like this, 5 minutes just walk past the hour of 11, of course, and you know that when it's Wednesday, we talk about the workplace, strictly the workplace. What happens between the 9 to 5 hour? Let's talk about workplace growth, career development, and let's talk about your CEO, your HR, what you need to do in the workplace, what is happening now. And one of the things that is happening in the world now is tech. And you know, when I saw post on tech, I'm always very scared because really that's not my area, and I'm like, oh, the world is going so fast, will they leave me behind? I'm always very scared, and I must tell you the truth, sometimes I'm always very pressured. But nevertheless, I decided to, you know, I've been in the news for some time, and I decided, okay, let's bring the tech people to the show, the Workplace Series show. Let's see how it is. But before then, I want to tell you that if you've not downloaded our app on Google Play Store, you are mistaken. You should do that. You can download our app. Listen to us via our website, www.Lagoonradio.Ng. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Lagoon Radio Nigeria on Facebook, Lagoon Radio.Ng on Instagram. You're welcome to the Workplace Series show on Lagoon Radio. When I come back from the short break, I'm going to introduce my guest and, of course, the topic for today's show on Lagoon Radio. My name is Lawrence Itoro. I'll be right back. Stay close to the Lagoon Radio. Stay close to the Workplace Series show. I'll be right back after the short break.
You are listening to Lagoon Radio. You are listening to Lagoon Radio.
You're welcome back to the Workplace Series show on Lagoon Radio. Have you called your CEO? Have you called your HR? Have you called that youth on, in your workplace? The number or the population is basically the youth. And it's important that we talk about issues that is affecting us. And that is why today's topic on the Workplace Series show is leveraging the tech skill in today's workplace. We've been hearing, in fact, during the pandemic, when I did my report on the streets of Lagos about the changes of the workplace, that was when I started seeing posts on tech skill. You need to acquire tech skills. And I said it before I went on that break. Whenever I see this post, I'm always very pressured, because I will lie. Itola is moving from the media, the public relation department or industry to the tech industry. What do I need exactly that will make me stand out in this fast growing economy? And it will amaze you that tech is one of the booming economy, and I want to be part of it. I want to make money. If that is your aim, you want to make money and you want to you want to go in your career, career development. That's what we talk about on the Workplace Series show. Then the show is for you. I want you to listen. We are streaming live on our YouTube channel, LagoonTV, and of course you can follow us on all our Facebook, our social media platform. On Facebook is Lagoon Radio Nigeria. We are streaming live on Facebook. I have my guest in the studio. First, let me just introduce Oladipuwa Oladipo. I'm happy that you are joining me on the show today. Oladipuwa, let me just call her Dipuwa. That's her name. She's the co-founder and the executive director of Tech for Dev. Sometimes when I look at that, that's your company's name, and I'm like, it's not complete. Is it technology for development, or why did you have to put it that way? Why do you have to put it that way? But first of all, I want to say welcome to. I'm really privileged to have you on the show. You don't know what you have done for me on the show today, to come all the way, despite the fact that Lagos traffic has a way of making people feel so uncomfortable, every day. And I want to especially appreciate you for coming. Diwa, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
And I don't know, we should do something. I'm really, really excited that you are in the studio. Oladipuwa is one of the women that initiated the women's textiles in Nigeria, and she's hoping to empower 5 million people before the year 2030. That is a whole lot. That is the whole lot. When I saw her profile, I was like, God, a lot of people are doing amazing things in the studio. A lot of people are doing amazing things in the world, and we don't know about them. And I'm happy that I'm knowing you today. What exactly is your company all about?
Okay, so thank you so much, Itora. I mean, it's so fantastic to be here, and thank you for the very kind introduction. Tech for Dev is a DBA there's a longer name. It's actually Technology for Social Change and Development Initiative. We're a non-profit organization, and what we do at Tech for Dev is basically we provide platforms and opportunities for people to access digital skills, empowerment, and advocacy. That's the summary of what we do. And just right around the vision of the organization is just to provide life skills and digital skills for young Africans, and even beyond just Africans, young Africans. Young Africans is the bulk of the target audience, but Africans as a large, for them to be able to access economic prosperity, for them to be able to access financial freedom, which ultimately we know is going to help with economic growth. So that's sort of like a synopsis of what we do at Tech for Dev. I like to say that, we operate in, I would say, 4 buckets. We're a non-profit, like I mentioned. We operate in tech. We operate in the education sector, I like to say it. And we also operate in a very interesting space that I would tag as popularly known by people within the sustainable space as decent work, which is a bit of looking at jobs and also looking at entrepreneurship. So that's sort of like a synopsis of what we do at Tech for Dev.
I guess I'm on the right part. I'm listening. I'm part of the show, and of course, I know I'm going to benefit a lot of course, other youths that are outside the studio that are listening to me are keeping their fingers crossed to listen to you, to know where they can, how they can move, when exactly they can move, what is the period at which they can acquire the skill. And first of all, I want to ask you, when I see tech companies and I'm looking at the media, I'm at the media industry, and I'm wondering, is it that we are not using any tech programs, or is there any tech facility that is not making us as a media company, or maybe a regular workplace, a tech company? What is different between a tech company and other companies?
Okay, let me start out by what you mentioned around the media. I mean, I find it very interesting because when I walked into the studio here today, I was just looking around trying to find out, oh, what's the frequency for the radio station? And then I realized that it's an online station, right? Just literally there's no frequency, it's online. You had mentioned earlier you're streaming on YouTube, on
Yes.
Facebook. I mean, years ago, this would not have been possible. All of us would have to have stuck right to a radio set by our offices or in our houses, just listening to this session. And but technology has made this possible for people to be able to hear us through Facebook, to hear us through YouTube, to hear us through numerous like technology channels or platforms that have come into existence. So I would say, yes, the media is definitely leveraging technology, albeit it seems like, oh, this is something common, but I would say that it's something phenomenal, because if you look back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this was not in existence. So that's sort of like the first thing that I would like to say about the media and tech. And then you did ask a second question. If you go over that again, please.
No, I mean, when as a media company, we are not conscious that we are using technology. And as you just said now, that we are actually using it, but we are not the media tech, just like your organization and other organizations that are fast rising. For me, I will say the Workplace Series is just a PR company. Now, I just discovered that I'll be using technology, really. So can I say Workplace Series is a tech PR company?
Okay, I mean, that's a very interesting question, and the reason why I say that is because even within the technology industry itself,
Yes.
there's been a huge debate about what is actually a tech company, right?
Yes.
If I'm using tech, like you said, like if I'm leveraging tech, am I a tech company? And I would say that there are pretty much two major schools of thought around this. There are some categories of organizations that they call core tech companies, and then there are categories of organizations called tech-enabled companies. So for the core tech companies, the definition is more around if you are building technology. If you're building technology and selling technology, you are a core tech company. And building and selling technology could be in like two perspectives, looking at a tech product or looking at a tech service. A tech product in this context is, let me give an example to say your Google search engine. People look at that as a tech product. Your desktops, your laptops, hardware, right? Those are actually tech products. Some people think about tech services more around, I'll give an example to say the likes of Uber or Airbnb, for example, are good sort of like examples of tech services where it's sort of like an intersection between two industries. There's technology and there's another industry. So for example, in the case of Uber is transportation, right, or logistics and tech. And then in the case of Airbnb, it's sort of like real estate, right, and technology. So there's a school of thought that categorizes the organizations, for example, or the services and products that I've mentioned at core tech. So those are the guys that people refer to, let me put it that way, organizations that people refer to as core tech. But then there's another school of thought that says that there's another category called tech-enabled companies or tech-enabled organizations. And this pretty much means that you're leveraging tech, for your business. You're leveraging tech to sell. You're leveraging tech to reach your target audience. And in this context, you have the likes of maybe a clothing store, for example, right? That is on Shopify, or like a vendor, like a shoe selling company that is on Jumia, for example. Those companies will be categorized as companies that are leveraging technology. They don't build their own technology. They use existing technology, to reach their target audience or to reach their clients, as the case may be. So I would say the Workplace series, you are a tech-enabled company. If we could put it in that perspective, right? You're leveraging tech to be able to do what it is that you do.
Amazing. In fact, if I was to pay Diwa to come for a show, I know how much I'll be paying. This is wisdom, like packed in a sandwich. I don't know how to describe it, but this is amazing. Now you've given me that insight that the Workplace series is a tech-enabled company.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we are using technology. Now I want to ask you, there are some workplaces that have not used technology. They are not using technology. How do they move? Because really, this is the digital age. The change is here, whether we like it or not. Is either you are there or you are here. So for non-workplace and for non-tech companies that are not, they are not even enabled. They are not tech companies. They are not building technology. How do they move? Is important. How do they move to the tech industry?
So I don't know if the word to say it's going to be difficult to say that there will be some companies who do not use technology at all, but the bulk of companies around use technology. Let me give you the most bizarre example is so think about your online retailers, right? Probably you found somebody on Instagram. Using Instagram is already that the person is using technology, right? Or you reach out to, there's someone in your neighborhood who sells something. You want to reach out to the person. You don't want to walk down the street, but the person uses WhatsApp, right? And you're able to text the person through WhatsApp or send a message through WhatsApp to say, I want to get this thing. And the person tells you whether it's available or not for you to then come down. That's sort of leveraging technology in some way, right? So a lot of times people think as technology as this huge thing, right? Where it's like, if you're building technology, if you're not an Airbnb or if you're not a Jumia, you're not a tech company, and things like that, which is not the case, right? A lot of businesses, albeit small, actually engage the use of technology. It's just how much of tech is it that you use, right? And the way I would look at this is that, for example, I put it in two buckets, right? A lot of companies already use technology from a communications perspective. So I gave an example, right? Even as a small, not so formal business, you use things like WhatsApp. For bigger businesses, they use the likes of Microsoft Teams, they use the likes of Slack, we use the likes of Zoom, right? Prior to COVID-19, I'm sure that a lot of people did not know what Zoom was, right? But then I'm sure that one way or the other, a bulk of people who are probably listening here have encountered Zoom, they've interacted with Zoom, and Zoom actually has really made life easy for a lot of businesses these days, right? So when you think as a non-tech company and you're saying, how do I leverage technology as an organization? I would think of it in sort of like 2 to 3 buckets. The first thing I would say is identifying how technology can help you in your business. A lot of people have this mindset that, tech is some expensive thing that, they shouldn't dabble into because it's going to cost them a lot of money and they just want to be involved, especially from an organizational perspective. And I would say that there are tons of actual free services or free tech products out there that people don't even know that they're free, right? So if money or cost is the issue, that doesn't necessarily fall under that category because there are tons of free products. So what I would say is, one, the company needs to identify, the organization needs to identify what areas they believe that technology can help them. I always say one thing, I say technology is an enabler, right? Technology is an enabler. What it helps organizations to do is improve efficiency, right? Improve accuracy, stay organized. So in situations where, when you think about that in those buckets, you think about the fact that, there is something I'm actually doing that technology can assist me with, right, to make me more organized, to make me more efficient at what it is that I do. So I would say one is identify those areas where technology can actually support you, to make the work you're doing better. Then the next thing I would say is find I would like to call it maybe a trusted individual or organization that can serve as an advisor on technology to your organization. They could be a full-time employee, they could be a contract employee, they could be a friend, someone who could support you to say, if you say, I want to improve this certain process, right, within my organization, the person says, I know 5 tools, that can help you. Some of them are free, maybe some of them are paid for. If you don't have that person, it might be a bit difficult if you don't operate in that space to be able to identify those tools or those services that are going to help you in your business. The number 3 thing that I would say around that, aside from finding that person, is then be open-minded, right? You can go online. There are tons and tons of resources, because the concern some people have is, how do I really, okay, now they've told me this is the tool I want to use. How do I use it? Because I'm not sure of how to use it. I would say that there are tons and tons of materials online, tutorials online that people can use to learn like the different tools and services, right? No one person, there's a popular saying, I say that there's no one person who's a custodian of all the knowledge. Yeah. So even if I'm familiar with one tool, there are times when I still go online and I check to say, oh, I want to quickly do this function, right? And I'm not quite sure of how to do it. And I just type it into Google. It brings out a result, and that's an additional information for me. So I think that if those 3 things are sort of followed, 1, you identify where you need technology. 2, you get someone who can advise you or walk you through the process, someone or an organization that advise you or walk you through the process. And then thirdly, just being generally open-minded and being open to learn. Then I feel like with those 3 steps and more, right, any non-tech company could actually somewhat find their way easing into technology.
Okay, now this is, we need to evaluate ourselves. For those that are listening to me or us, of course, in the studio, the CEOs, the HR, are you a tech company or you are an enabling company? You need to know what you're doing to promote productivity, because at the end of the day, it's really productivity that matters. We did a research one time last year, 2020, and we discovered that it's not the number of time you stay in the workplace that you're productive. Is what you do within the time that you're given that we can say that you are productive. But before I go on and ask some more questions, I would love to go on the short break. When I come back, of course, I'll tell you more about our topic today, how can we can leverage on tech skills. Now we're going to talk about the skills itself, because I want to learn some skills in the tech industry. Stay close to the Workplace Series show. Stay close to Lagoon Radio. I'll be right back after the short break.
You are listening to Lagoon Radio.
So
are listening to Lagoon Radio.
You're welcome back to the Workplace Series show on Lagoon Radio. You can listen via our website www.LagoonRadio.Ng. Follow us on all our social media platforms, Lagoon Radio Nigeria on Facebook and Lagoon Radio.Ng on Instagram. I still have my guest in the studio. Dirura. Dirura is the Executive Director for Tech for Dev and also the co-founder. That's a big position. How have you been able to mix these two positions? Let's look at the workplace generally. How have you been able to mix these two positions together? I know some people, when they are the CEO, they are the HR. It's a lot of work. How have you been able to do that? And at the same time, you are delivering on your assignment.
Well, I would say that I don't see it as something too complicated. I mean, these are just two titles, right? One title is co-founder, that simply just means that, you started the company or alongside someone else. So I won't call that too much of a fancy title if you call me like maybe not literally anyone can start an organization, but I mean, that is just what that pretty much says that, you started out an organization with someone else, working alongside with you. And then executive director just pretty much means that, you're overseeing like the strategic direction of the organization. So in terms of ensuring that the organization is following a certain strategy, and you're just managing like day-to-day sort of like, I don't know the word to use is operations, but just ensuring that the organization is running according to the organization's vision and we don't deviate from our core and what it is that we've set out to do.
Yeah, great. Now let's look at the skills. I was reading somewhere, I can't remember the document exactly. Africa is now the marketplace for tech and Nigeria is the capital. So Nigeria being the capital, we know the population of the youth. And the youths, out of the youth, we have those that are employed and those that are unemployed. Mm-hmm. Now let's look at everyone because we are concerned about everyone. The employed and the unemployed. What are the skills that are necessary for them to move or to, what are the skills that are necessary for today's workplace? For organizations that are core tech or those that are enablers of tech, how do they get all the skills? When I saw some of the skills that were outlined, as I said, whenever I see this post, I'm always like, oh God, a lot of things I need to learn. I've not learned anything. In that situation, what skill will you advise an unemployed and employed, youth in Nigeria, having that Nigeria is the capital of tech in Africa?
So interesting. I will look at this from two perspectives, right? I will look at it from someone who's employed, and I will look at from someone who's unemployed, and I'll look at it from someone who is employed, right? And maybe I should just merge the two together, to be honest. So firstly I would answer the question around what kind of skill sets exist, that, you could be looking at if you want to sort of pivot into technology. And I mean, if you go just on Google and just type in-demand skills, you're going to see like tons and tons of skills, right? From like different authoritative sources, if I could put it that way, just telling us that, these are the skills in demand in 2021, or these are the skills in demand just right now in this particular region. But I would say across board, there are quite a number of them. Some give you 50, some can give you 17, some can give you 10. I would just sort of summarize them just off the top of my head, according to the ones that I'm certain, just across board, looking at all these authoritative sources, the similarities in terms of the skill sets that they're looking for. So I would say in no particular order, I would say that one is organizations both tech and even non-tech organizations are looking for artificial intelligence engineers, they're looking for data engineers, they're looking for information security professionals, or they call them cybersecurity professionals, where they're looking for software engineers and software developers. Organizations are looking for IoT, that's Internet of Things engineers. They're looking for product managers. They're looking for product designers, maybe also known as UI UX designers. They're looking for blockchain engineers. And for me, across like these different sort of like categorizations that it is I've come up with, it's sort of like those skill sets that I just mentioned right now are sort of like central to all the authoritative sources, like I said earlier, what they've said those particular skill sets are. For someone who is employed, right, who is thinking, how do I leverage tech within my current employment? You don't necessarily need to pivot, like you don't need to leave your job, to go learn software development or go learn software engineering, for example. Is you need to think about how can I also leverage tech, where I am. So let me give you an example is that I do have a friend who used to work with Amazon in the US, and she worked on their product team, right? And because Amazon is huge, right? They have huge data that they need to analyze. And she needed to learn SQL, right? For her to be able to process and analyze the data in our department, right? That's not ideally, SQL is something that probably you would find someone who is like in core tech learning as part of, what it is that they have to learn. But it's something she had to learn to make our work easier, for her to be able to analyze data really quickly and for us to be able to get the kind of results that she needs. So as someone who is employed, who doesn't necessarily want to leave where they are, you just need to think about, like I had said earlier, how you can use technology, to make life easier in terms of the work that it is you do, improve processes and improve the tasks that it is that you're doing. But for people who are unemployed and are open to, starting out a new career, I will tell you that technology, for a fact that technology is the new oil. For Nigeria, for example, even for Africa, technology is the new oil. And I say this because the way I see technology, right, one of the reasons why I even ventured into this space is because of the potential for economic prosperity that exists in tech. I would dare say that technology is one of the very few industries right now where you don't even need to know anyone, right, to get in. If you're good at what it is you do, people are literally going to be looking for you. Like organizations locally and globally are going to be looking for you. So it's easy for someone who is in tech, to be able to earn an income that doesn't just affect just themselves, but is able to also transform the lives of themselves, their families, and their immediate communities. And that for us at Tech for Dev is very critical because we see a multiplier effect. If you're prosperous, it means that if you're in a family of 4 or 5, right, and you're prosperous as one of the people in that family who is prosperous, you're able to spread the prosperity within your family. If your family becomes prosperous, they're able to, because your family is not independent, they're within a community or within a society, they are able to spread that prosperity even into the immediate community. Okay. And that's how it's a principle of shared success, right? Where, once you're able to impact one person, you can actually say that by impacting one person's life or giving one person access to a tool or a resource that changes their lives in terms of prosperity, they're able to do more for themselves, they're able to do more for their families, ultimately the society and the country at large. And that for us is extremely critical. So if you're listening, if you're someone who wants to start out a career and you're confused, you're like, what do I need to do, right? I mean, again, tech is the new oil. Tech is definitely something or an area or an industry you should be looking at.
Definitely. If you're listening to me and you are still wondering what exactly you need to do, then of course you should deviate a little to the tech industry. All right. So I want to ask this question about your organization. I'm curious. How do you tend to achieve the 5 million, to empower 5 million women in your program?
Okay.
How do you, in the next before now and 2030, I'm curious, 5 million in Nigeria or in Africa?
In Africa.
In Africa.
Yes.
So how do you want to achieve that? Because I want to sit back, fold my hands, because I know you can do it. I want to sit back and, of course, report this progress because it's really huge. How do you intend to achieve that?
Okay, I think it would be ideal at this point to give a bit of synopsis on what the program is. This program that has this ambitious goal and put like that. So the program is called Women Techsters. It's an initiative of Tech for Dev, and the idea behind this is just to bridge the digital divide between men and women in the technology ecosystem. So what you have currently in tech, right, is that you have a gender imbalance. You have more of men than women. Like literally, just think about it randomly. Any tech company that you know and who is at the helm of affairs of that tech company as a leader, right, it's probably a guy, right? Even when you think about who the engineers are, right, it's probably a guy, right? And these are some, I would call them deep rooted issues that might be cultural inclined for places like Africa, where perhaps we have a very patriarchal system where people just see as, oh, engineering is something that is tough, and then it's something that a guy should do, and it's something that, women should go study English and all those other things. But for technology companies to be able to build technologies that are not biased, right? It is important that you have a balance of both men and women in that tech ecosystem. And again, I would say that women do bring in, people might not entirely agree with me, but I'm certainly sure of this because I have data, is that women do bring in a level of, you would agree with me that I would call women extra meticulous. Okay. So they bring that level of meticulousness, if you will permit me to use that word, to the work that it is that they do. And that gives a level of accuracy. Engineering there's a lot of accuracy going on in there. And for us, it's very important that as much as, remember that I mentioned earlier that there are opportunities, right? Tech is the new oil, as I called it. Okay. If men are partaking of this, why can't women? Right, in places like urban areas like Lagos, right, you see situations, or depending on what area you are, if you're in Yaba, for example, you might find out that, it's 8 men to 2 women, right? In some places in Lagos, you find like 9 men to 1 woman. When you go outside of Lagos to more suburban areas, you rarely find women, right, who call themselves maybe engineers in any right, so whether you're AI or cybersecurity, or as the case may be. And we took it upon ourselves to say that we felt like this was important to ensure that, we found a balance within, a gender balance within the technology industry. Also ensuring that there's this saying, popular saying within the social space, that when you empower a man, you empower a family, right? Or maybe you empower one person, but when you empower a woman, you empower a nation. This is because women have, over time, it's been seen that whatever resources you commit to the hands of a woman, right, she's able to multiply it 3x times, right? And for us, it's important to be able to, again, spread, this prosperity across board. And it's the reason for the Women Texas program. Actually, we started out the Women Texas as Nigerian Women Texas about 2-3 years ago, and then we did that across 12 states. We empowered over 2,400 women in coding and tech skills, and that was the first part. And then we told ourselves, based off of the results that it is that we got, right, we started to think to ourselves that, so there are other women across other countries in Africa, right, who are actually looking for an opportunity like this, which is not only just skilling, right? So providing people with skills is one thing, but then going beyond that skill to enable people to get jobs or to start businesses is another thing entirely. And then we told ourselves, we're going to set a goal. It was literally like we sat in a room and we're like, we're going to go 5 women in 10 years. And, when I speak to a lot of people are like, oh my God, this is so ambitious, right? But we've charted a course or a pathway around how we're going to do that. So the Women Texas program has 4 components, right? There is a Women Texas Open Day, there's a Women Texas Boot Camp, there's a Women Texas Fellowship, and there's this Women Texas Masterclass. So the Women Texas Open Day is an opportunity for people who want to learn about, because one of the major challenges we found out is that people they don't know where to go. They don't know how to get access to information on if they want to join tech, if tech is for them. They don't know what UI UX means. They don't know what product management means. So how do I even go into something that I'm not familiar with? And that's the idea behind the Open Day. The Open Day was supposed to be like a sort of like career advisory session where we bring other women who are sort of like experienced and seasoned, if you will allow me, say, who are in tech, right? Come talk to the other women about their experiences in tech and also share information around career pathways in technology. So we get the women to come, they come to listen and they come to learn. And then at that point in time, you hear about the concept, you start to make a decision in your mind, say, oh, this perhaps is something that I want to do. And we've had interesting success stories, I must say, from people who have even attended the Open Day. A number of them have moved on to other programs within Tech for Dev. A number of them have also joined organizations that we partner with who are also doing skilling, right? Also joined their programs just based on the knowledge that they've gotten from the Open Days. The Open Day, the Women Texas Bootcamp is then a 2-week. So we have all these programs sort of interlinked. The Women Texas Bootcamp is a 2-week learning experience for anyone. So you've heard about this, you've come to the open days, you've heard about this concept. You want to figure out if, okay, product management is for you, or software engineering or development is for you. We don't want you to go and spend 6 months or 1 year, right, before you find out at the end of the day that, oh my God, I totally just wasted the last 1 year of my life, it's not for me. So the bootcamp just provides you that opportunity. 2 weeks, you come, you learn, just focus on that particular area, and then you get to decide at the end of the day if you want to further more in terms of learning in those particular areas or not. Then we have the Women Texas Fellowship, which is like a 1 year long program. So now you've understood that it's product management or it's software engineering or development or it's AI engineering that I want to do. The fellowship then provides a platform for you to be able to learn over an extended period of time, about 4 months. You're learning technical and soft skills for the workplace. And then afterwards, you get access to a 6-month internship that allows you. So it's one thing to have learned, right? It's another thing to put to practice what it is you've learned. So the fellowship gives you an opportunity to be able to get internship within like technology companies in Nigeria and outside, for you to be able to put to practice what it is that you've learned, such that at the end of the fellowship, we expect you to be able to become an entry-level professional within that particular field that you've selected. And the last is the masterclass. Masterclass is for people who are already entry-level within the different sort of like fields that we've identified, and you want to learn more on a particular concept, right? The masterclass is that opportunity. It's a 1 to 2 day class that allows you to be able to focus on specific topical areas within your field of expertise. So I would say, for example, that maybe you want to learn how to use a particular tool. For example, maybe you want to learn how to use Figma as a product designer. You could come to the product design masterclass. If it's focusing on Figma, great. If it's focusing on prototyping, that's also awesome. So you get to learn more in-depth and intimate, if I could call it, sort of like topical topics, right, within those master classes. And across those 4 programs is how we intend to actually reach 5 million women by 2030.
Amazing. In fact, I'm thinking probably we're going to invite Diwa to come to the show some other time, because of course she has a lot of knowledge to give to us, and I'm hoping, I'm sure our audience too are open. I want to ask you, the remote working has come to stay, whether we like it or not. Same with tech has come to stay, and I enjoy working remotely. I don't want to face that traffic. So now that we are working remotely, how do we leverage on tech for communication, having in mind that communication is the bedrock? I was having communication issue with someone last night. It was just a simple thing. I expected the person to just say how we should, get to what we wanted to do. But it was not really forthcoming. Now that it was not a face-to-face conversation. Now we're using our phones. How do we use technology now to make sure that communication is easier? It's really a big thing. Communication is really a big thing. How do we do that?
So, like you said, it's remote work for a lot of organizations right now. COVID is literally ravaging the entire world right now, and people are forced to work remotely. Some people love it, like you said, because
I love it.
because it helps them to stay away from like traffic. Yes. Some people also do want that face-to-face sort of like interaction. So I would say that for a start, that the workplace has moved from it's sort of the future of the workplace in a couple of months, right? It's going to be more hybrid than it is just strictly remotely or strictly physical. And the reason for this is that now people have tasted the good apple, let me put it that way, right? And people want to be able to have that flexibility to work from home. Definitely. But then, like you said, communication also becomes a challenge, right? As human beings, we're conditioned, right, to want human interaction, like to want face-to-face interactions, and that hybrid system just sort of gives a balance to that, where I get to work remotely for a couple of days. I also get to meet my colleagues and my fellow team members, yes, at the same time. So it gives me a balance of both sides. But however, I would just speak a bit on, or zoom in a bit on the remote bit, if you're working remotely, in terms of how to communicate better. I think that one is leveraging the right kind of tools is extremely extremely important that you're able to leverage the right kind of tools. I mean, yeah, there's like your phone that you can use to call someone or whatnot, but there are like several kinds of tools, right? There's like there are tools sort of. So I'll just give examples. So if you have the likes of like Microsoft Teams, for example, it allows you to be able to do three things. It allows you to be able to type to someone, just the same way you communicate on WhatsApp, right? It also allows you on even WhatsApp itself. It allows you to be able to pick up your phone or pick up your device and place a call to someone, a voice call to someone, right? That's another type of communication. Then it also allows you to be able to do a video call with someone or do a conference call with people. And I think that in terms of communicating with people, I mean, those are sort of like different, I would call them sort of like core areas when it comes to communication. Can I write? Can I hear? Can I see the person? So you have platforms that give you that sort of like all-round experience that allows you to be able to do that. Even platforms as simple, let me call it, because those are easily accessible, they're free, as WhatsApp allows you to do the three. So in a case where you feel you're typing to someone, it happens to me a lot. For example, I'm a typer, I love to type. I'm not sure that I love to receive calls as much. I know that people always just smile at me when they're like, oh no, I've tried to call her like 5 million times, she's not picking. I'm like, sorry, please send me a message. So you get people who are like the typing kind of people.
Yes.
And I love to type also not because I'm trying to pin someone to the wall, but you can easily refer to things you've typed. Right, I can come back and say, oh, Itoro said this, I'll just do a screenshot. Boom, and I'll send it to you. I said, you said so, right? So that's fine. But sometimes you need to, I've also come to realize that when you type, people sometimes cannot understand your tone. They don't know how you feel when you're saying, so they could misinterpret what it is that you're saying. So sometimes you have to go beyond the typing for people who like us, who just like to text people or type, to go to actually having a voice call. Or sometimes I even go as much as just having a video call with you, because at that point in time, you can see my face, I can see yours, you can see my expression, right? You can know that when I said, no worries, I didn't mean like, no worries, get away. Like, I just meant like, really no worries, right? And you're not reading any meanings to it. So if people can just find that balance across, there are several free tools, right, that allow us to be able to effectively or seamlessly communicate with our colleagues. It makes life a whole lot easier for everyone.
Of course, deaf communication is one of those things. If you don't have it, try to enhance communication skill. Is very important. I told you one time on the Workplace Series show, there was a time I had to look at the vacancies that were on platforms, and I noticed the first thing they wanted, or companies desire, is the communication skill. Is oral or written. They just want it. It's very important. I would have loved to ask you the future of the workplace and tech. Well, I just discovered that the future is now. We are talking about the future, but I want to deviate a little. When I looked at your biography and your company's activities, I discovered that I took a word, entrepreneurship. And I want to deviate a little. It's not part of our topic, but
it's fine.
What do you think about side hustle? Because really, should I say it? Side hustle has come to stay. Having multiple streams of incomes has come to stay. But as a co-founder, and you have people working under you, what do you think about side hustle for your employees? I
feel like you literally just put me like in a box, and I'm sure Favor is just looking at me from the corner of her eye outside, just judging me. So I think that there's a terminology that the techies, let me use that word, call it. We call it the gig economy.
Yes.
And the gig economy is, the idea is, I get the opportunity. There are enabling platforms that allow me to be able to do multi things at the same time, right? And what I usually say to people, even though that is not popularly known, but people who have come to me, I have those conversations with them, is I'm not saying that don't have a side hustle. But if you have a main job, for example, that side hustle can affect the main job. The moment where the side hustle starts to affect the main job, then you're not pleasing. So it goes beyond your employer looking like a mini witch, right? Or wizard, as the case may be. It's just that the person feels like they're not getting value for what it is that they are paying for, or they are committing their resources to. So as much as you're trying to be fair to party A, who is your maybe main employer, you also need to be fair to party B, because if I was the one contracting you to, and you're not a full-time employee, I'm not going to want to hear that you have a job somewhere else. I'm going to contract you for, if we agree that you're going to spend 3 hours a day on the particular task or that I'm paying you for, then you have to be spending 3 hours a day. That's the only fair thing.
Definitely.
So as long as people have the capacity to juggle those jobs without it affecting any of the either jobs, then I think that it's fine. I mean, for the gig economy, there are freelancing platforms, people are taking 2-3 projects at the same time. I would just say that for your reputation's sake, it's important to understand your capacity. What can you do? Some people cannot even multitask on a normal day. If you can't multitask, how do you want to take 2 or 3 jobs? One of them is going to get affected, right? So you need to think about it carefully to say, how can I juggle both? If you have the bandwidth, I know some people, they can do 3 things at the same time conveniently. So if you're the kind of person who can do 3 things at the same time conveniently, you can watch TV, press your phone, and feed your baby at the same time, right? That might be something that might not come too difficult for you if you're juggling 2 things or 3 things at the same time.
So I want to say thank you, Divuwa, for endorsing side also for your employees.
I feel like I've been boxed.
Favor is so excited. I had to put that because we have a project on side also an employee.
Sure.
And I decided to ask you that so we can clear the hair. We've had interviews with other co-founders, and of course they're all saying it's good, but I don't know the other tone. Now you've spoken your mind, and I'm happy you did on the Workplace Series Show. Time is really running fast. This is 11:55. I wish I can allow you say more. You have a lot on your plate, and I know you really will. Maybe probably another time we'll have to bring you to the show, because this is the tech industry. This is the tech. In fact, the Workplace Series is the tech.
You're checking about.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for coming to the show. I want to really appreciate you. It's really an honor to have you. Really, a lot of companies don't like to come because of traffic, and we can't do this remotely. We have to see face to face because communication is key. Thank you so much for coming to the show, and thank you for your team. I want to appreciate you sincerely. For those that are listening to us, we want to say thank you for listening to the show. If you have any question, of course, you can ask me. Follow us on all our social media platform at the Workplace_series on Instagram and the Workplace Series on Facebook. I can get all your answers if I have all the questions on my plate. I'll do that definitely for you, because the Workplace Series is concerned about your health. We are sure that you are happy. We want to be concerned that you are earning with convenience. That's our goal, and I'm sure you are doing that. This is me, Ito Lawrence, moving out of the studio, and of course going to take pictures with you. Have a lovely day. I wish you all the best for now. I'll see you next week on the Workplace Series Show. Stay close to other shows on the Workplace Series Show or Lago Radio.
You are listening to Lagoon Radio. You are listening to Lagoon Radio.